Hello everyone, welcome back to another haul video. Today we've got some very exciting books to go through, a good combination of horror books and also some newer manga that have been released this year or in the past couple of years. So the first thing that I wanted to go through straight away is going to be this big box here. So if you haven't seen, I posted about this on my Instagram. This is an amazing reprint set of Umezz's works. So specifically, to give some background on this, so there are 5 books in this box. This is called the Nakayoshi book series box, and essentially it reprints some of Umezz's works that came out from the shoujo magazine Nakayoshi from I think they were published from like 1966 to 1968. And so in his works that were published in that series, sorry, not the series, the magazine, you have essentially, you know, your classic shoujo horror. And the very special thing is all of these books here have been reprinted to mimic and have the exact same covers as they were when they were released at the time in the 60s. So you are getting these very, very vintage covers. Super unique, because obviously we don't have this sort of styling of covers for manga now, and we've also got this too. And so some of these stories actually I have read, because they are compiled in another version of Umezz's books. So just to go through this here, I'll just show this up, and it's for a pretty solid price as well. For 5 books, I think it was like, must have been like 80-90 Australian dollars or something, if I remember correctly. But here's just a little flyer with some information about the release, if you want to pause and read that, you can. Okay, and so I personally haven't had a good look at this yet too. So this video will be my first time as well, kind of looking through and seeing all these stories. But yeah, all these were like published as like supplement works, a part of the Nakayoshi Book stories. So we've got here, let's see if I can read these, like Red Butterfly, the girl with the red butterfly. This is the Spotted Girl. So I do have information on their releases. Of course, I'm going to be, you know, giving you a flip through of everything first. But here, this was in 1967. So the Spotted Girl was also 1967 as well. And then we've got the Cat-Eyed Girl, 1967. Then we have the Sleeping Girl. This is 1968. And then Snake Girl. This was also in 1968. So let's go through these. I believe actually, so this one here, Snake Girl and Spotted Girl, I believe they are the ones that were actually put out in another edition of Umezz stuff. So let me pull that out here. So I've shown this book before. This is Hebi Onna, the Perfection edition of Umezz's works. So if you're not aware, Umezz has a Perfection series that has pretty much all of his main works that are reprinted with these very special editions. This one, the main thing about this is, as you can see with the light, you can see that it is textured with the snake woman on here, and you've got this kind of like shiny snakeskin rough texture to it, which is amazing. This is actually one of my favorite, actually no, it's really hard to designate a favorite from Umezz, but I thoroughly enjoyed this because Hebi Onna was kind of like the progenitor and the start to Umezz's boom as a shoujo mangaka, and just shoujo horror mangaka, or just horror mangaka in general. But the works in this specific series, this book here, we've got 3. So we have Madara no Shoujo, so that's the Spotted Girl, and then Hebi Shoujo. So those 2 works are in here, and so the box set includes them. But of course, you know, I had to get it because I love Umezz so much. I don't have every single work from Umezz. It is a slow journey to collective stuff because, you know, he's created so much in his lifetime, rest in peace. But the good thing about Umezz is that because he's such an important mangaka, he is getting a lot of reprints. And so these, if you were to try and find these, like the original, hundreds of dollars. So this is a godsend for fans of Umezz and, you know, fans of shoujo horror or just vintage manga in general. So amazing stuff. So let's have a look at some of these. Again, these vintage covers, amazing. I don't have anything like it, you know. The only things in my collection would be Hibari and stuff, but this is specifically for from Nakayoshi, the girls the shoujo magazine. So here it is. And look at the back. The back is so, it's crazy how it's like a experience of time travel. Okay, so in terms of the quality as well, it's pretty decent. Like it's a bit thin in terms of like the covers, so you have to handle it a little bit more gently, but I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine with it because it came at a pretty good price anyway. So throughout this book, and I think the other books as well, they all have this like bluish ink to them. So this book here, I should have read. Yes, I have read already because of the Perfection edition. So actually, I might as well get that out to compare the editions and the prints of everything. So let's go to the story in question here. So Heavy Shoujo is 175. Okay. So of course the Perfection has black ink. So let's have a look here now. See the difference between the two. Okay. So you can compare here the pages. A little bit different actually. Have a look at that. So I'm not an expert on Umezz, of course. So I don't know the history of the reprints and changes and everything, but it looks like there are some changes. So this must be the original because this is, you know, obviously coming from the Nakayoshi books itself. And that one here must be like the touch-ups. So let's do some more comparisons. Okay, pretty interesting. Let's see here. I specifically want to find a page which has the snake. Okay, here it is. So the order of the panels as well is different. You can see this is where the snake appears and then it shows up in the end here. It shows up on the top on the left here. Interesting stuff. The panels are, looks like there might be added panels too. So very interesting. I might actually, oh no, I'm just missing it out here. So the order of the pages a bit, the panels are a bit different. But I might as well just go and reread everything because, you know, I just want to see the differences between the two. So very interesting. So if you prefer black ink and I guess the touched up version of the stories, then maybe this will be better. But again, this only has two of the stories that come in the box set, so you're not getting everything. So let me just quickly flip through the rest of this. Classic shoujo horror works. Amazing, but it does really feel with these covers that, like, you know, you're handling the real thing, like a time travel experience. So that's Snake Woman. I don't know the stories of the other ones that I haven't read, so again, going in totally blind as well. This is the Spotted Girl work. But yeah, I have been getting back into reading shoujo horror or just horror works in general. Recently finished a Kandamori story, and also so the specific Kandamori one was like a mummy story, and then I am currently halfway through a Tanima Yumeji story, which I guess I'll talk about those in a different video. Nothing beats Umezz, honestly. Nothing beats like this. There's nothing like Umezz that we have gotten since him. So a very special mangaka. This is the Sleeping Girl. Man, that's crazy. Looking at these ads and all that type of stuff. Insane. This one's a little bit of a thinner one. Man, I'm so happy. So happy I picked this up. I still actually, I have the Perfection Edition of Orochi on my shelves, which I read Orochi like years and years ago, but I really do want to reread it because I haven't actually flicked through those physical books yet. Oh, I should have shown on the ones beforehand. Look at the back of these. Did the back of these have anything like that? Yeah. Super vintage. Of course, if you handle your own manga magazines in general, you from the past, you'll see a lot of that stuff. Of course, in Gara, they do have that stuff as well, but I personally don't have any shoujo magazines from now or from the past, so it's a pretty cool thing to see and to have. So yeah, I'll say overall, looking at all of these, for any fans, highly recommend. Highly recommend. You're not going to find these books, other than the ones that are in the reprint edition of the Perfection one. You're not going to find these for cheap if you're looking for the originals. So this is a really good way to experience what the stories are in its original form, because, you know, comparing what we had with the Perfection edition, it seems like these are like the original untouched versions, which is amazing. The only criticism I have is well, it's just, you know, you got to be careful with these books. They're a little bit more flimsy and less sturdy in terms of their covers. So yeah, just have a bit more care when reading through them. But then again, that's really the only issue that I have right now. I haven't read through the actual story, so I can't comment on anything else. But, you know, very, very happy to have all these together. So I will take my time with these. Two of these I already have read, but I do want to go through again just to see if I can spot any clear differences between everything. But also another tiny, doesn't bother me too much, but here's the obi as well. The cover of the box art, not my thing, not that captivating for me. I was originally going for these as these covers anyways as well, but yeah, that's kind of all that I have in terms of my very small, very minor gripes with this anyways. So yeah, very, very recommended for Umezz fans. So let's move on to the next book. Okay, let's move on to the next horror book for today. This is another compilation and collection of Hino Hideshi's works. So this one specifically is called Animal Works, so Hino Hideshi Animal Works. I've been wanting this for a while. I think this released last year. And so let me actually get the other ones to compare for you. Okay, I just had to search. I forgot where these were on my shelves, but these were the other two editions. But I didn't know this. They're actually two different publishers. So it seems like multiple publishers are doing stuff with him. So this was the first one that came out a couple years ago. Hino Hideshi Best Works. So just a little flip through. I have shown these off on the channel beforehand. This one has a lot of the iconic series, Panorama of Hell, all that type of stuff. This one is called Hino Hideshi Great Works. And so this is a little showcase of that as well. So yeah, so these two were same publisher. And I thought this was the same as well, but nope, apparently different. This one is by World Comics instead. So this is, of course, this is Fear, Town of Pigs, which is actually out in English. And this is the English edition of that, put out by Starfruit Books a couple of years ago. So we'll go ahead and compare them. But yeah, let's do a flip through of this. Love the colors on this one too. Always love some rainbow. And every edition of this is amazing because you see how thick they are. You get a lot of stories, so like 300 pages of stories. The first one is the Town of Pigs story. So just to compare, that is the edition there. And then we have the English one. So just a brief flip through. I love this this story. When I read it, it was great. Classic Hino. Would recommend getting this one if you're into Hino. And then let's go through this specific one. So I'm not sure the history behind this, but why there's like a different publisher doing this now as well. But now that I think about it, I think it's also something it could be related to how, Hino right now is currently not in a great state in terms of his health. I believe he's in the hospital at the moment, and so it might have something to do with, because he is, not doing well right now, he might be putting a lot more of his works out there with publishers working with him. So I know there is another English edition of his works put out by maybe Jordan Qualley, from what I remember. So we are getting a lot of content from Hino, whether it's releases in English or compilations like this. But that could be why. Again, I'm not certain or not fully sure about this, but it's just a speculation on my end. But yeah, this is a great one. Town of Pigs takes up a good amount of real estate on this book, which I do not mind at all. I love the works. I might as well reread it, to be honest, in Japanese this time. But we've got some more works here that I don't recognize. I haven't read them, so it looks like they haven't popped up in any other compilations that I have seen from Hino. So excited to get into new works, new series from him. So yeah, very happy with the horror that I'm getting recently. So that was the Animal Works edition of Hino Hideshi, put out by World Comics. Okay, so that is the end of the horror section. So we'll just move on to manga that came out recently. So if you know already, Natsujikei Miyazaki is one of my favorite mangaka of all time, and is a very, very special one that I think is such a standout right now in terms of manga and stories. They are completely unique, I feel, in the way they write, the way they draw. And so these two books are their most recent releases. So this one here is called Mojiru Hito. I'm actually not too sure what that means specifically. Is it maybe like Mojiru, like modifying? I don't know. But looking at the specific, the synopsis of this seems to be a collection of I don't know whether it's parodies or adaptations of, it says here, the genius, eccentric, and rare talent of Natsujikei Miyazaki twists and turns literary works from the East and West, creating short comics that make you laugh, cry, and learn. And so this format is similar to the Funky Happenings book that they put out, because as you can see, have a look at all the stories. Each of them are 10 pages long. So we are getting very short vignettes of stories. But I remember seeing a preview of this, and I saw this panel, and I was just like, okay, I'm sold. I'm already sold on Natsujikei stuff anyways, but look at this. It's the cutest thing ever. It's the most Natsujikei Miyazaki panel ever. But yeah, it seems to be apparently just a lot of different references and adaptations of literary works, which I'm sure will go over my head because they include literary works from the East, so I'm not familiar of those at all. And looks like there's also 4 panel works too. So this, I think I will definitely take my time with, because a lot of these are very short and they're probably jam-packed, full of info and references and whatnot. So I'll have to brace myself in terms of being confused, because yeah, it looks like there's so much to unravel and unpack from reading it. But I'm excited either way. So, and I love the cover too. The covers for Natsujikei's works are always amazing. So yeah, that was Mojiru Hito. And then this one is, I'm also confused about the cover as well. Sorry, not the cover, the title. Probably because I haven't read the story, so it might be referring to a character, but maybe it's translated something like Kappa Kati is maybe Kati the name of the Kappa, not sure, and the love of the cursed ones. So this is actually an ongoing series right now. So this is volume 1, which I'm very excited about, because I haven't actually read a serialized story from Natsujikei that has spanned more than 1 volume. They have done it in the past, except I don't have those books yet because I'm taking my time with reading Natsujikei. The most recent one actually that I finished was this one up here. Holy Town. I want to make a video including this in one of my thematic videos as well, so that will show up in another one, because this one has a very interesting and unique narrative structure to it, so I do want to dedicate some time to that later. But coming back to this Kappa one, so according to the synopsis, this one says, so Kuchisake Iwe, who has been shunned by everyone around her since she was a child because of her eerie presence, continues to practice smiling even as an adult. She meets a Kappa who, like Iwe, doesn't have a place where they belong. So the themes and the different topics of being outcasted, isolation, I think Natsujikei does that really, really well. They have like whole tankobon compilations like based on that. There's Nothing Wrong With Me. That's another book by them that is pretty much based on that. So yeah, this God, it's so good, because you can also see as well the change in Natsujikei's style comparing when they debuted versus now. There's so much happening in their artwork now, and so many weird, wacky characters, and also just very grand and like have a look at that. Look at the contrast of that, and then in the foreground you have this little like kid. Like it genuinely looks like cutouts added onto the drawing. So it's very interesting and very creative the way that Natsujikei does stuff. And this is also the covers, really cool. It's like textured as well. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, very excited to read these. But I will take my time with them, because I don't ever want to run out of Natsujikei stuff to read. And then the last book for today, this one is a new territory for me. This is I'm not sure what the title means at all in terms of story-wise. So it's a short story collection by Midori Chiba. This is called緑の予感たち. I think that's how you read it, like green premonitions. Or Midori could also just be like the referring not as green but the actual artist name. But how I saw this, I don't actually remember whether it was, this might have been nominated for an award and I probably discovered it from there, or I also had a period of like looking at through the Torch Comics website, just having a look at what was releasing, and maybe I got it from there. So I don't know which one came first, but very interesting cover, and if you flick through it, its art looks very interesting. There was a specific panel shown in the preview that caught my attention. This one. So this came in the preview of the book. Very intrigued, very, very, very intrigued by this. So I think honestly that alone was enough to sell me on this series, and I always love short story collections. So I have no idea what is happening, but this looks so good. Torch Comics is such a unique publisher. They go for all the weird stuff. And this is a volume 1. So that probably means there's going to be more volumes, which I'm very happy about. The blue and green is such a standout choice of color, so I really appreciate that, and it's a very simple one too. This guy, I don't know what's going on with him, but very interested in. Cool font as well for the title. Not that I can read it properly, but yeah, I'm not that good at reading in that type of font anyways. So yeah, so those were all the books I got. This was all from one haul. Very excited, very happy to have all these and to eventually start reading them. Probably the next video that I'll do will be another reading like log type of thing, just going through recent reads and that sort of stuff. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this one. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.